I'm Sophie.
And I'm Phaedra.
And this is My Best View.
Sophie, what was your best view this week?
My best view is also a personal vindication corner, bringing back vindication corner for the finale. My best view is the whole Lindy West discourse. Seeing that discourse, knowing I had literally started talking about this subject of Lindy West's throuple over 5 years ago. She did an interview in 2019, and I literally, at the interview, was like showing my sisters, like, don't you think this is kind of, like, don't you get this vibe? Like, reading between the lines. And that's the same stuff that's coming up now.
Okay, that's genuinely freaky. I feel like you just have extremely good discernment, and you're not afraid to posit the question of, isn't that kind of weird? When other people might not feel like they have like enough evidence to do it, but like you really have your finger on the pulse of something.
That's genuinely a huge compliment. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Because you know what? I am not afraid to ask questions. I love questioning. A topic that's been coming up in the Lindy West discourse is this broader thing of like, how much are we allowed to, should we, and do we say about our friends' partners?
Interesting.
Basically, one take I heard was like some of the fact that people are like piling on to Lindy West's husband is because like we don't feel empowered to do that in our regular lives because it's like considered taboo to tell your friend like, hey, I think your boyfriend's behavior is not great.
Yeah.
The thing that we like can't speak negatively on other people's relationships, so there's like this sacredness around it. I think that's so fascinating. Like I want to dive into that more on another. I think it bleeds into this show too, where it's like, when are the friends being helpful by saying something? What are the things that are even helpful to say?
And as a part of that, often, especially now at this point in the season, you and me, I think, have been coming to the conclusion with the specific friend circumstances is like, you can't care as the friend more than the people in the relationship care about a conflict or a situation. But I think it's interesting, to your point, to think about, well, when is that the case versus like your friend is putting blinders on and going into, say, a marriage with someone they're not compatible with, you know?
Or worse, someone who like doesn't like them. Like, I do sometimes wonder about that. Like, if your friend is happy seemingly in a relationship, but it's because they're not seeing something, to what degree are you obligated to show them the thing they're not seeing?
It's a good question.
And most people would argue not at all. There's no obligation and you shouldn't get involved. But it's complicated. So I'm just loving that these themes are coming up.
I also think the Lindy West thing, and specifically your vindication of it all, is related to so often through the season, especially now being in the finale of it, I keep thinking, damn, we're good. Like almost everything we predicted, both of us, were spot on in a way that genuinely feels crazy that early on we were able to clock certain things that I don't think were that obvious, but have come and been explicitly labeled as being true at this point.
And I'm hesitant to praise us too much for it because I know this show isn't like the most complex sort of media that exists.
Sure, we're like, I noticed that Shawn doesn't like Alliya, so I'm a genius.
No, but you know what? We were able to identify specific things about like the form of transphobia he has before it was really explicitly revealed, etc. No, you're right. Sorry, we're the best and we know everything.
You've come around. I love it.
Phaedra, what was your best view?
My best view this week was a book I read.
Okay, literacy queen.
Yeah, I can read, and I did.
And it's one of those fantasy porn books?
Don't you dare say that I read porn. You know I read things called smut, and I skip through the sex scenes. Don't accuse me like you don't know me, Sophie, please. I do love fantasy romance books, romantically as some might call it, but I tend to skip through the sex scenes because I'm here for the plot. I really am, genuinely. Anyway, I love books where like they hold hands 2/3 of the way through the series, and then it's implied that they have sex at one point, like, and we don't need to know about if they're fingering each other, like what the position is. I love like a sexy scene where they're like, there's tension and then like maybe the kiss, you know, and it's like, ooh, and you know, some details about that. And I'm like, ooh, titillated. As soon as we get into the details of like, and then he started going in and out, and then they're flipping around and changing positions, and it's going on for 10 pages, and I go, oh, my pants are supposed to be off. You know, I'm not supposed to be reading this on the train. I just don't like that feeling. If I wanted to read erotica, I would go and read erotica. Keep erotica out of my books. Anyway, just kidding. You can put it in. I'm just going to skip it. So anyway, that was what I'm actually trying to say. What I'm actually trying to say is I read a new book called The Jasad Heir.
What is it called?
Jasad Heir. Now I'm getting embarrassed. Jasadheir.
Oh my God. I literally, it to me, it sounds like an Apple product. You know, it's like the MacBook Air.
Oh, you haven't heard of the Just Odd Air? It just came out.
You don't have one of those?
Anyway, if there are any other romantasy people, I recommend that book. Don't go into it looking for sex scenes. You're not going to find them. But you will find great characters. And I read it in like 3 days, which is really fast for me.
I'm so happy for you. And I'm looking at the cover of the book, and this is the kind of book I refuse to read on principle. Like, it looked like I don't like fantasy.
You wouldn't like it.
I wouldn't like it. But I'm so happy for you. And I'm proud to promote literacy on this podcast about like one of the least literate shows that exist. So
I will read my fantasy books with not a thought in my head. I'm not close reading that shit at all. It's washing over me and I'm loving the ride. And then my reality TV, I'm taking notes. I'm close reading. I'm an enigma.
And I love you just the way you are. I think that's perfect.
Thank you.
It's the finale. Woo!
I'm like so fucking happy. We start with Stevi and Mahdi, and I'd just like to say I'm so thrilled to put these people away on the shelf. I don't give a shit about them. Sorry to start with like that negativity, but it's true.
No,
I can't
agree.
hide that.
It's hard to be negative, you guys. I'm usually not like this.
It's such a departure from our normal attitude. So yeah, we open back up with, in the moment of the morning of the wedding day, Stevi is getting her hair and makeup done by her friends in this like hotel that she and Mahdi are staying at. And Mahdi's friend Saeed, the pot stirrer, has gone up to kind of confront her about something. That's how we ended the last episode. And I'd just like to say, first of all, Saeed's shirt was cracking me up because it looked like it had the same pattern as like the carpet at a bowling alley.
Or like a 80s movie theater. Yeah.
Yes. That kind of vibe, like a laser tag area.
I was like, are you wearing that to the wedding? But thank God you changed.
I know. I was really scared. With some of the attendants' outfits at different weddings in particular, it absolutely could have been possible.
There's no guarantee.
Scary. But anyway, back into this moment with Saeed and Stevi. Her friends step out of the room for them to have a private conversation. And basically, this was nothing. Saeed essentially tells Stevi that he always has meant well with like his interrogation about her bisexuality, basically. And he's protective of Mahdi because Saeed is his only friend in America. Stevi says that she understands and she also loves Mahdi. That's good. And Saeed says that he didn't intend to ruin the wedding and he meant the best. And it's basically just like a kind of like a apology without saying I'm sorry. Like the vibe is like basically that Saeed is, I don't know how to, he feels apologetic in his delivery essentially.
But he's just saying my intentions weren't bad.
Yeah.
So it's like an
apology without saying sorry. Anyway, it seems like they made up. They fist bump because Saeed asks if they can hug and Stevi says no because she's weird.
When she rejected his hug, I was like, damn.
Well, I thought that was like Saeed specific and I was like, okay, Stevi, you can't like suck it up for just a minute. But then later, one of her friends asked for a hug and she's like, fine. So maybe she's just like one of these anti-hugging people who, sorry, grow up. I think someone who's anti-hug to that level where you're being socially inept, you actually have to like interact with more people and get over yourself because it's actually annoying to me. I have known people like this in real life. One time I ran into someone who I like went to middle school with, went to her over the summer at like a restaurant. And I was like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. And I went in for a hug. She literally shoved me off of her in front of both of our families. And I was like, oh, haha. And I look back on that and I felt kind of embarrassed, but I'm like, no, that person's insane.
Okay. And then she's telling people like, I met a predator. They like...
I was like, it's okay if you don't like to hug, but you can't be like, whatever, I'll move on. I just think that that's like so stupid. So Saeed leaves the room and Stevi's friends come back in and Stevi, it's time for her to put on her wedding dress, the one that was delivered this morning due to Stevi's horrible planning.
And by the way, she even later was like, yeah, I had to order this stuff last minute because, you know, the wedding was only planned like a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, you knew there was the 90-day. Like you
knew you were getting married.
I know, like, don't tell me you hadn't started thinking about it. You have a fiance on a fiance visa. Like, it's not like the wedding was a total surprise. It was just 2 months earlier.
Whereas
I really didn't get this.
And in contrast from another couple, Mina got her wedding dress before she even got pregnant with the baby she now has with her fiance. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, other people had planned this. Like, it's not an impossible task. Anyway, kind of shocking. The dress fits.
I was mad about it because I hate when like stuff works out for people that like didn't plan properly.
I agree. She's not going to learn her lesson. It was so annoying. And we didn't even get resolution about if the shoes fit, but we assumed that they do.
Well, she's wearing shoes, so I guess they fit.
I guess so. And her friend Claire cries and Stevie tears up too. So that's sweet. Like, and we now see Mahdi putting on a tie, and he says it's the first time he's ever worn a tie because in Iran it's a symbol of Western society, essentially. And Saeed puts it on him, but horribly. Like, they can't.
Yeah, like ties just like a knot.
I know. And I was like, Saeed, haven't you been in the US for like 10 years? It was a little bit funny to me. And he's wearing a tie, but I wonder if he just has like those ones that are pre-tied. It doesn't really matter, but you know me, I'm always thinking about the logistics. But at one point, I guess it gets fixed, maybe by a cameraman or something, because later we see Mahdi has his tie.
Yeah, they said they're going to find an American to tie it.
Oh, really? I didn't hear that. That's funny. And Mahdi and Saeed arrive at the wedding venue, and Perry, Stevie's dad, is there, looking cute as a button.
I know it's bad, but the fact that he's so petite makes me, like, so much more forgiving for the fact that he's, like, a fucked up, like, Trump conservative.
Which we are technically assuming. We don't technically know that, I guess. No, Stevie said that her dad bleeds red, white, and blue. I guess that's what that means.
If that man voted for Kamala Harris, I'll eat my shoe. Okay?
Can you imagine?
Like, sorry. Okay, allegedly. Okay, so no one sues me. Allegedly, he voted for Trump, according to me. If he is a Trump supporter, the difference between a 5-foot-tall Trump supporter and a 6'5" Trump supporter, I'm learning, for me, is crazy. Because, like, he's like, I'm like, oh, he's, like, not, it's like how little dogs, they're not as scary.
And Mahdi and Saeed walk into the venue properly, and they see this table.
So he set up a haft scene, which is the traditional tablescape you set up for Persian New Year, or Nowruz. And it's 7 things that all start with the letter S in Farsi. And when I saw this, I was like, what the heck? Because it's similar to like a Christmas tree or like a menorah where it's specific to one holiday. They very quickly explained it was the right time of year.
Yeah.
But at first, without having that, I was like, what?
Oh, because that would be incredibly random to just have at your wedding.
And it's not something you have at a wedding. Like, there are Persian wedding traditions. This is not one of them. So I was like, okay. But then when it was clarified that it is the right time of year, I thought it was a really gorgeous gesture.
And the implication is that it was set up by Stevie, which is really sweet.
Really, really lovely. And again, like, the type of thing that goes beyond, oh, I'm just going to buy a flag and hang it out. Like, to really understand. And, like, a lot of these things in the haft scene, like, they're not things you can just buy at the regular grocery store. Like, you actually have to really take the time to procure these things. So I thought that was a really, really beautiful gesture. It made me really kind of tear up.
And it was really touching to Mahdi and Saeed as well, who saw it together. And, like, it was just such a sweet moment. I will say, and maybe this is me being overly critical, but it was interesting to me that we never saw a conversation throughout the episode between Mahdi and Stevie about the haft scene. Like, we didn't see basically it get clarified that she's the one that set it up.
I thought they said, oh, Stevie set this up or something. But maybe they were also assuming. It was just like someone else entirely.
Well, low-key, I was like, what if it was like one of Stevie's friends? Because I feel like someone like Claire, her friend, already gives me the vibe of like being so much more put together and like thinking ahead about things like that. And just the fact that Stevie didn't even have her wedding dress until the day of, I'm just having a little bit of a hard time imagining that she set up this haft scene.
You know what? That's actually like a pretty good point I hadn't considered.
And I would love to be wrong because it's a really sweet gesture, but part of me is wondering, did she actually set that?
No, it's fair.
Because can you imagine not having shoes that fit you, but you set up this like really meaningful table with things that you couldn't get?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're actually right.
We'll message Stevie and ask her on Instagram. My one critique of the haft scene is that they did not have their wedding bowl displayed proudly there, which they made together at the glass-blowing date so long ago.
We didn't see that bowl anywhere.
Yeah, we thought that this was going to be central to the decor. So whatever.
Or contain the rings or something.
Something whimsical. It wasn't even a part of it. It's like they don't even care about the wedding bowl. So now we see Stevie and Perry, her dad, and they do a little first look outside of the venue, which is very cute. And Perry says that she looks beautiful. And honestly, she does. But then Perry asks her, are you sure this is what you want? Like literally what they're at the venue. That's crazy.
Love that. I know.
And Stevie says she's sure and she's ready. And Perry in an interview says, you know, when she first told me, I just wasn't really sure what to expect. I thought she was either pregnant or maybe lesbian. I didn't know. And he says that he knows Mahdi loves Stevie and he wishes the best for them. So now Stevie and Perry are kind of standing, waiting to go down the aisle. The ceremony is about to start. And Stevie can kind of see Mahdi from where she's standing. And in an interview, she says that seeing Mahdi down the aisle reminds her of the time when they were just friends. And she thought that she could never be with that kind of person. And it's just making her emotional looking back on everything.
And I was like, what is this lore drop? Like, I don't think we ever talked about, like, I mean, we talked about him being her student, but we didn't really talk about a time period where, like, they were friends and she was pining for him. So it was like...
No. I, again, would like a timeline clarification between when they met through the teaching and when they actually started dating. Because I thought it was pretty soon after, but maybe they were, like, friends before that, for real.
I felt, again, like we're referencing something I wasn't a part of. So I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't remember hearing about that, but okay.
Interesting. And now Stevie walks down the aisle, and in an interview she says it's kind of another retrospective on the relationship, because she says that she remembers when they looked at the number of people who were approved from Iran to get the K-1 visa, and they always knew that the odds were against them. And it just feels amazing to get to this point. And that kind of thing really does move me, because it's true. Like, this process, and I can't imagine what it's like for an Iranian. It's hellish. I mean, the waiting, the not being able to predict when things happen, how they happen, if they'll happen. It's truly one of the most, like, humbling things you can go through. And so, I don't know. Every time they talk about the logistics of the visas, I like it. Like, I want to hear about that, because there is really a lot of pain in it, you know? And in a sense, if your relationship can get through that together genuinely, I think it is a good test of the strength of your bond, you know? So it doesn't mean nothing. It was giving me flashbacks to various visa things I've gone through. So that's real. And the ceremony happens. Okay, and I don't want to be mean, but I did notice for the first time when she was up there at the ceremony, her roots look awful. Did you see that? Like, on her hair?
I didn't notice. I believe you 100% with no evidence required, but I didn't see.
I'm noting it because it's another symptom of her poor planning. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, you had 2 weeks notice. You could go to the hair salon and get your roots done.
Or, like, do them yourself at home.
Yeah, truly. It just shows, like, a lack of care. And that's okay if people disagree with me, if that's not a big deal, but I do think having your hair done on your wedding day, if you're already going through the effort, I mean, she had her hair done in the sense of, like, she styled it, like, effort was put in, and it just bothers me that, like, why wouldn't you at least get your hair dyed? And now it's the reception, and Mahdi is getting a drink at the buffet table, and Perry's there. So Mahdi says thank you to Perry for everything.
Side note, why is he still calling Perry dad? Perry doesn't like it. Perry, like, gently tried to set a boundary of, like, you're calling me dad, I don't know you. He's still doing it. Anyway,
Perry says, you're welcome, stuck with me now. You're just gonna learn South Mississippi way of life.
That sounds like a threat.
Yeah. Mahdi's like, that's a little bit scary. He says that, but laughs. I don't know, it's kind of funny. I wonder if now we'll find these people on social media, and I'm like, what if Mahdi just has, like, all these pictures with, like, I don't know what they do in Mississippi, like catching fish or shooting guns and shit. Like, imagine he just becomes truly Mississippian.
I would love to see it.
I'd be shocked if they weren't living in New Orleans at this point. He seemed to love it there.
I just, like, my takeaway from this was, like, I don't really care, and I just still can't believe they've only spent 5 weeks together in person.
I always forget that. That's crazy. Well, good luck to them.
I'm honestly, obviously in the episodes leading up, it was clear they would get married, but I'm still surprised they did on some level.
This couple, I mean, I've said it to death, but I think they're weird people. I think they have a weird relationship as a result. I don't get it. Obviously, if people are together, and I don't think there's anything, like, power dynamic wise too concerning here. So I wish them the best. Like, I don't really care. But objectively, like, if you guys are together, I hope it's good for both of you.
Yeah.
But I just have my doubts. Like, I don't see it for them. But again, I do think that they're kind of weird people individually. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe I just don't understand their vibe. And maybe it is good.
I agree.
But yeah, the logistics of, like, that they barely have spent time together, it's not looking likely that that's going to lead to long-term success. But I guess truly only time will tell. We'll just have to see.
I agree.
That's basically the end. Guests hold sparklers outside the venue as Stevie and Mahdi walk out, and that's the last we see of them in this episode. So yeah, they're married, and it went well, weirdly. But yay, I guess. I don't know.
I know. See, this is what I mean with the kind of, like, ending with a whimper, where it's like they just had this generic wedding. It was okay, you know?
I know. There are a couple they're not interesting to me, but if I think about it, it's interesting in the sense that I don't understand what the plot was. I don't understand what their relationship is. I just really, more than maybe any of the other couples, I don't understand what I'm looking at. I can't grab onto it in a way. Like the other couples, I have things to say and I have opinions about both of them. But the two of them, I'm just like, the only thing I find myself saying every week is, I don't know, I don't get it. They're weird. I don't know what's happening here.
One thing that's coming up for me is I feel like, if anything, some of these plot lines are proof that reality TV is to some degree real. Because I feel like we saw a lot of plot lines that the producers set up and were like hoping would go somewhere. And I feel like they just didn't. And I feel like it almost speaks to the fact that like you as a producer can't necessarily set up an entire story arc for an 18 season show ahead of time, because like obviously you need to know like what to be filming, what questions to be asking, and the like these interviews. I mean, I know they don't show everything, but you can't ask every question on earth. I mean, you know, they have to.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like a lot of these things, like for example, where they're like pumping up like, oh, and like what are your family members gonna think, like, oh, and they're religious, oh God. And then it's like the family members are like, it's fine. Like,
yeah,
I feel like a lot of these plot lines, like especially when there are other people involved who didn't opt to be like a main character on the show, I feel like those people are probably less likely to be willing to like say something completely out of character to like push a certain narrative. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think a Perry who's like didn't sign up to be on the show is going to be convinced to say like, I will never accept your husband if he doesn't think that.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you
Anyway,
know, I have my worries, but I wish them the best.
It's kind of fine.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this whole season, like a lot of things ended up just being like kind of fine. In a way that like I've seen other seasons where the drama actually amounted to something, which is why I feel like with Stevi and Mahdi, first there was like, what will Perry say? Oh, he kind of is fine with it.
Yeah.
Like if anything, Perry's problem was just that Stevi didn't tell him, period. But it was less to do with the fact that like Mahdi is Iranian or whatever. And then the whole bisexual stuff, like the producers did what they could to drag it out.
My God, did they
but
ever.
They just got to this impasse, I think, very early on, where Stevie's like, I'm not talking about this anymore, and Mahdi's like, I guess I don't care enough to push more. And then they're like, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I feel like it's almost just proof of the fact, like, it's not 100% scripted. If it were 100% scripted, a lot of the drama would have been more explosive.
True. And also maybe proof that if two people are boring, you can't make them interesting even for TV. Like,
so true.
You have to have this natural like X factor, like a Sarper, who even when he's doing shit that I'm like, this might literally be scripted, for the most part, I'm entertained. Like I'm enjoying him being on my screen. When Stevi and Mahdi do it, I'm like, skip. And I'm not skipping because I'm recapping this podcast. But truly, if we weren't recapping the podcast, I think Stevi and Mahdi, I would just be watching on double speed, if not fully skipping, because I find them so slow.
I would have literally just gone to Wikipedia and been like, what happened to them? And then
oh, they get married? Oh, okay. So it didn't matter.
Okay, whatever. Yeah.
But now to move on. Speaking of Sarper, we have Shekinah and Sarper next, which was way more fun and exciting and interesting, to say the least. So they start their section with what we were worried it was going to be last episode, which is they're doing this weird, I think, fake out thing that he, like, worrying that Sarper is not going to show up.
Where he's like, I don't know, in the bathroom?
I think maybe they technically got another suite for him to get ready in. But I think the whole point of that was just to have Shekinah either really or pretend to be like, oh my God, is he not going to show up? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's down the hall. Go
yeah,
say,
it's
like,
really probably fine. I know.
They kept having her like calling him. And I'm like, if this were real, you would have stood up, gone down the hall and knocked on the door. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just like so objectively fake, which was stupid. So I guess like to back up, we technically start with them drinking coffee in the morning with their little eye masks on, you know, to help with their dark circles, I guess. They're
doing a lot of last minute beauty procedures.
And they're doing it together. Just more proof that these two people are so simpatico. Like, they are extremely similar people in a way that I love when they're getting along. And I will note that Sarper is wearing a white robe that says hubby on the back, embroidered, which was...
I didn't notice that.
You didn't? It was so cute. I loved it.
I've never seen, like, wedding merch for the groom before.
Me neither. And you know what? He pulled it off. Looked great. Shekinah, in an interview, says that the room looks beautiful to her. Her vision actually came together, which I was happy to see. She was really feeling sad about it in the previous episodes.
Huge floral arrangements emerging from the bed.
Yeah, like kind of affixed to the sides of the headboard, essentially. And what did you think about the flowers?
They weren't my taste. but I thought they were like well done. Like clearly they paid a florist a lot of money for them.
I did not think it looked ugly, but the like color palette of the whole room and then the flowers was just very, it kind of looked like the interior of like a house of a makeup artist who was famous on YouTube in like 2012.
I know exactly what you mean. To me, it was more the aesthetic of like generic Valentine's Day.
But instead of reds, there's blues, right?
Yeah, but like the same kind of energy. Like it was just kind of like they just Googled like wedding flower. And they're like, oh, they should be white because bride, and they should be roses because love. But it wasn't like, oh, I love these specific flowers. It just felt like generic.
Yes. And then, in my opinion, we start the ramping up of this fake plot line where it's like, is Sarper going to come to the wedding? Because they're together getting ready. But he's like, oh, I had a lot of nightmares last night. And Shekinah in an interview says that last night Sarper woke up screaming something in Turkish, so she doesn't know what he said. But she says that he doesn't normally have nightmares like this, but he's been having them leading up to the wedding every night for a week. Do you think this is even true?
No.
Like maybe, but I don't think it matters. I think maybe he just has anxiety. Like, I don't know, join the club.
Yeah, this whole thing is just like, okay, let's move on and get married. Like, I love them, but like, let's not try to like squeeze in one more plot line.
The fake like stress the day of the wedding was so funny. And Sarper says that like, he's like, oh yeah, but I had a nightmare, but it's normal. I'm scared, but I'm going to do it anyways. Like, he doesn't even care. You know what I mean? It's like so clear this is not an issue. Anyway, so the wedding planner / Shekinah's cousin, Courtney, arrives and she kind of tells her about the nightmares too. And I'm like, it's just so produced. I'm not even going to like give too much time to it because it's stupid. I know. And then it's like Sarper in an interview is like, the AirTag thing was bullshit, like her tracking him, which is true. But now he's thinking about trust and half of my brain says walk away. And it feels like he might be making the mistake of getting married twice. It's paraphrased, but basically that's what he's saying. At one point now, Sarper goes, I think, to another suite on the same floor or in the same hotel to go get ready. And she kind of starts calling him and he's not answering. It's just like the reheated nachos of the fight that they were having the day before the wedding. So it's stupid. She kind of did have a funny interview though, where she says she's so nervous to be apart from Sarper because when he's left alone with his thoughts, he starts to spiral and overthink things. And she hopes that they can get through a few hours apart without him spiraling again like he did yesterday. And I do take everything with a grain of salt with them because I don't believe a lot of this, but I'm like, it is so funny. Like, that's a great sign that when you're apart, you stop wanting to be in your relationship. I'm like, well, that could be a sign. Who knows? But Sarper eventually picks up the phone call and then is like, yeah, I'm fine.
It was such a nothing.
Fuck you, producers. Sarper has a very funny interview now where he says that being with Shekinah changed him totally. Says that he was a total bad boy. Quote, maybe the baddest boy. By the way, Sarper, you need to be making baddest boy merch, by the way. I'm going to wear it to your show in May.
Meet and greet. You should make custom merch. He would love it.
Dude, true. I'm going to ponder that. I'm going to think what I'll make. And then he says, we get explicit confirmation of something that we wondered previously. He says that he used to be a stripper. And we get a picture.
That was the most important vindication corner of this whole thing. And Sarper, you should pick that back up.
I'd watch.
We would go to your show and do a meet and greet.
I would be sticking ones into your G-string like Lucille at the strip club with Joan. Okay? Anyway, and then he goes on to say, I slept with 2,500 women. And then we get the picture of him as a stripper, which was like this super old, grainy picture. And I'm like, dude.
It could have been actually anyone.
In retrospect. But it's like him in like shiny underwear. Obsessed. Like literally love. Now we get this random ass flashback. Like, great job, producers, giving us yet another no context, bizarre flashback for no reason seemingly in the last episode. Great. But we get a flashback of Sarper and Shekinah doing a burning ceremony. And I say this as if that's like a thing we should know what it is. Is this something I don't know about, Sophie?
I don't know about it either.
Okay. We did get context only because I was watching this with our producer, aka my mom. Without her, I would have gotten zero context for what this was, but she's watched now their previous seasons. And she says that Sarper had a bottle of alcohol for every date that he had, like with a woman, and he kept it in his dining room, and that was his bottle collection. And they had a burning ceremony for that. So I'm like, sorry, did that start a wildfire? You're burning alcohol?
Burning alcohol?
In the woods?
So you just pour it in a bucket and like dispose of it. I don't know.
Okay, maybe our producer misrepresented this, but that's what she said.
Well, I heard him say something about destroying his trophies and like bottles, but I was like, whatever that means. So I think that does track.
Yeah.
That's expensive.
I know. Do you have 2,500 bottles of liquor though? I'm confused.
In your living room or whatever?
I'm confused. I don't get it. Even with that context, it feels nonsensical, but does make me want to watch their previous seasons. They are so interesting. And Shekinah now in the moment walks out of her getting ready area in her wedding dress. And it is exactly what you would imagine, and I was obsessed with it. It's a short, like, lingerie style lacy dress with just like a lot of cleavage, which is not hard to get with Shekinah. And it's like basically like a corset with like a very short skirt. Period.
I loved it for her. It was perfect for her.
So now we see Sarper's outfit as well. And Sophie, would you like to describe it?
It's literally a Chippendales stripper outfit.
He says as much.
Yeah, with the little like cuffs that aren't attached to a shirt and the little like collar that's not attached to a shirt either.
And bow tie. And then just like a black vest that's like nothing underneath it.
Wonderful. I wouldn't have thought of it, but once I saw him in it, I was like, yeah, of course you need to be wearing that to your wedding. Like, yeah, that makes
like
total sense.
specifically Sarper.
Yeah, not everyone, but him specific. Like, I will say this. I am really passionate about weddings that feel specific to a couple. Like, if I'm at a wedding, I want to know whose wedding it is. Even if the people getting married aren't present, you still have a feeling of whose wedding it is. What I don't like are the, like, plug and play, like, it's the same wedding 20 times in a row and, like, you just put a new couple in.
Yeah, you wouldn't like to go to Greg and Joan's wedding, probably, objectively.
Yeah, exactly, like that kind of thing. Although I will say, like, he did a good job with the rehearsal dinner. If you consider it blended, that was at least something. But this wedding, I was like, if you just showed me the outfits and the setup and said, whose wedding was this? I would immediately know it was theirs. And I love that.
Totally agree. Sarper in his outfit says, male stripper making a wedding fantasy. Like he kind of says it to the camera. It's so funny. And he says, it's classy and sexy, just like me.
I loved it. Why at this point did it like pan out to reveal they also had a single violin player?
Yeah, interesting. So the only people present for this wedding are Courtney, the wedding planner, the violin planner, the camera crew, an officiant, and Sarper and Shekinah. It's such an interesting group. Who was the witness legally, I wonder?
If I were that violin player booked for a wedding and then it was just the couple getting married in a bed, I would feel so weird.
So funny. Honestly, we should interview her. I want to know what her experience was like. Actually, let's contact her. I love that.
That's the level of fame I feel like we could achieve for like our podcast. Like that level of personality I think we could get as a guest.
I agree. Oh, I thought you meant that we could quickly learn violin and become that person on the show.
I would love that. But sadly, I don't think we can. No, but I mean that type of, like I don't even think we could get Perry on the pod, if I'm being honest.
I don't think he could figure out Zoom.
I feel like it's achievable, you know? I
think we could get her, and I think we could get Herbie because he likes to talk.
Herbie, I feel will just do whatever. He's always up for anything.
For free. Yeah. Weirdly, I bet that he like is really trying to become an influencer. We'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah, it's wedding time. So the violinist starts to play the song, and Shekinah walks out holding the bouquet of orchids and roses in front of her little lingerie dress. She's just like walking from like the door.
From the bathroom to the bed.
Love. And as she's walking out, Sarper mouths, "Oh my God." And then they meet and he kisses her hand. And Chris, the wedding officiant, walks in. Who's that?
Shows up out of nowhere, just like this random man.
I think there's just like some guy they paid, but it's funny to name him because I'm like, is that someone's uncle? Like, who is that?
Is this relevant? I know.
Some dude. And they get on the bed together because that's where they're getting married, which is so funny. The officiant's just like standing at the foot of the bed and they're just kind of like, they're not even like fully lying down under the covers or something. They're just kind of like laying.
It's like he's reading them a bedtime story is like the positioning.
It's Elephant and Piggy. The officiant is leading the ceremony and it's vow time, and they're just reading the vows off their phone, which is I always think is so tacky. I'm sorry, it's tacky.
I'll note that probably. I know.
Literally. I'm like, guys, just print it. It's sorry, you're at a hotel, they definitely have a printer. I just hate that. That happened at multiple ceremonies, and I'm like, it just doesn't take a lot of effort to print them up.
I agree.
Shekinah does cry while reading her vows, which is very sweet. And in Sarper's vows, he says, "I thank you for not giving up despite all red flags of mine. And Shekinah, I promise to not cheat on you ever once in my life." I don't know why I didn't think of doing this in my vows. I mean, what could be more romantic than that? Yikes. And we get like this multiple slow-mo shots of them kissing on the bed. And I guess, they're husband and wife now, and the wedding planner leaves. It seems like everyone leaves. And Shekinah and Sarper pop champagne. And then Sarper strips for Shekinah. And he's like stripping and pointing at his wedding ring. And she's like filming him with her phone. And she goes, "That's my husband." And I know for a fact they put that phone on a tripod, and they filmed themselves having sex in that bed directly after that. I know that for a fact.
I know you're right too. I do.
Sarper goes under the covers and then pulls off her red thong and throws it on the chandelier, and that's where it ends.
That made me feel sick. This was again one where, as much as I love Sarper and Shekinah, it did feel like it just was what we expected. The wedding went through as planned. That's what I mean. It's like, okay, it was fun to watch, but it was what it was.
I wonder if part of the lackluster feeling we're getting is that I think it's honestly a lot of it is the editing, because why did we have 2 weddings in the last episode and we had like 5 in this one? It was overwhelming. It was just like every different section was a full wedding. And I'm like, whoa, I think we could have just condensed some of the episodes. Do you know what I mean? It would have been better to like,
I agree,
have just like, even in this episode, it was literally like each section that we would see on screen was 5 minutes at a time, I swear to God. And it was like the Shekinah and Sarper one was split up into like 3 sections. And I'm like, how? And they weren't back to back. They're throughout the episode. So it's like you see Shekinah and Sarper and then a different couple. And then we get back to Shekinah and Sarper. And I'm like, let's just see them get married. Like, I think if it went all in one, it would have been more interesting almost.
I agree. No, it just felt drawn out. I mean, it's been drawn out. And then in this episode, it was also kind of drawn out. And it was they were all kind of nothing because they all ended the way you expect. So,
Yeah, spoiler. Well, not all of them, as we're about to see. In a way, it ended how you would expect, but it was at least
exactly
interesting.
How I would expect.
It was. I will say it was not boring though, which was nice.
That's true. That is very true. Okay, so now we are back with the one couple that I think, frankly, at this point, it was not clear what would happen, which is, by the way, not a couple. I misspoke. One situation that we weren't 100% sure about, which is the throuple.
Yeah, and it took an interesting turn even from where we were last episode.
I know. Their bits always feel so disjointed because their mood changes on a dime. Like,
I know.
So it starts with this like mini scene of Amani asking Ani if she wants to talk for a bit before they leave. Ani says, "Not today." And then there's a card on screen which says, "The production team arrived to document Amani, Matt, and Ani's last date together in Mexico. They found them in the middle of a fight."
Chills.
Frankly, I found this fight extremely drawn out. So I'm going to briefly summarize the point of the fight, which is that from Amani's perspective, she had agreed to send Ani some money to pay for her rent because Ani wouldn't be able to work during the time she took off to be with them, and therefore wasn't going to be able to pay her rent that month. And Amani said she had every intention of paying, but for some reason from Mexico, she wasn't able to initiate a wire transfer, and she was going to do it first thing first when she got back to the U.S. and could go to a bank.
Which I will say, that's definitely possible. Like, there's certain banks where they block you from doing stuff like that abroad.
And then from Ani's perspective, Amani had agreed to pay the rent, but canceled the transfer as soon as Ani said she wanted to marry Matt instead of Amani.
And see, I think both of those things are probably true.
They could both be true. But frankly, Amani and Ani both have a documented history of being like a little bit unreliable in different ways. So it's just, I don't even know what really happened, but those are the two like perspectives.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. Like, I believe that both of those things could be true. It could be, for example...
But basically, the crux of the argument is that Ani thinks Amani is using money to control her, which that, by the way, I do believe as just like a general concept.
Totally.
And meanwhile, Matt is like, Ani's upset and I don't know why. And I'm like...
I mean, Matt just doesn't know what's going on ever.
He never knows what's going on. And
I will say Matt never knows what's going on, but at least he has his heart in the right place in the sense that he wants like the fighting to stop escalating in an unhealthy way, which Amani, that's the only way she knows how to fight.
Yes. And at this point, interestingly, Amani keeps trying to invoke her relationship with Matt as like a defense. Like she's like, I treat Ani well. Like Matt would agree with me. Like Matt would, like she keeps trying to use him as like a reference.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, well, and And then anyway, I mean, again, it comes back to like Ani's style of fighting, which is like, I'm sorry to criticize her, but like using just like the same 5 words over again and over. Like she's like, you're not my boss, baby. Crazy lady, crazy lady.
Yeah.
And like, it's just kind of funny. Like she just does this like a lot of like repetitions where it's like also not super helpful in like actually progressing a conversation. But then Amani only wants to fight and Matt doesn't know what's going on. Like the 3 of them, there's just like no hope of ever truly communicating anything.
Yes, from all sides.
And then at this point, Amani does escalate in a really mean way.
I'm sorry, Amani is like a bad person.
This is really, really cruel. She says Ani is used to manipulating people and manipulating men in the club specifically. And at this point, Matt is like really trying to stop this conflict. And then Amani says, quote, "You're used to controlling men left and right at your job with your little dances. I don't get controlled." So already yikes.
Yikes.
Also, it's like, at this point, I'm like, how are you going to meet a stripper in a strip club, form a relationship with her, and then use the fact that she's a stripper against her?
Don't get with a baddie if you can't be with a baddie.
Seriously. And so then Amani says to Ani, "I wish you had some self-respect. You have 0 self-respect."
Also, what does she even mean? Like, I don't even understand what that has to do with the argument, except that maybe she's just being slut-shaming.
She's just slut-shaming. She's just being mean because she's a stripper. Yeah.
Right. She's just saying, like, you slutty stripper bitch. Like,
You're worthless.
that's literally what she's saying, right? Yeah.
None of these are effective, like, rhetorical tools. I mean, it's not helpful at all. So, and Matt is, like, still trying to stop it. He's just like, "Stop, don't say that. No, come on." Like, he's just not helpful at all.
Who's less useless in a fight, him or Mark? They're so similar in that way.
They're so comparable. I know.
Yeah.
And then Amani goes on to Ani. She says, "At least I have some self-respect. When I was poor, I never danced for money. I'd rather be homeless than do that." And Matt just goes, "Oh my God. Oh my God."
Amani is such a truly heinous bitch. Like, she is extremely degrading to Ani and to other people too. Like, she has no respect. I mean, she has no self-respect, like, in many ways. Clearly, she has, like, some inner demons. But, like, she is so mean to people. The way she immediately in a conflict goes to name-calling, coming for people's, like, biggest insecurities or, like, most, even if it's not an insecurity, like, most vulnerable aspects of their identity, it's genuinely reprehensible. Like, it's not the way that you talk to anyone.
Let alone the person you claim to love.
Honestly, in a sense, it's entertaining to watch because it's, like, dramatic. But objectively, it's disgusting.
Really hard to watch. It's really fucked up. I know.
Yeah.
So Matt at this point officially gives up. He says, "All right, I'm not going to be able to stop this."
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's true, Matt. Honestly, I'm like, yeah, you can't stop anything. You're useless in a fight.
Yes. And then Ani at this point says in an interview with the camera that this is why she protects herself, because people say nasty things and she knows Amani was using this language like purposefully to hurt her.
That's why Ani, I don't think she's like a perfect person in many ways, but I find myself respecting her self-respect, contrary to what Amani says. Like, Ani seems to respect herself a lot more. She's like, I'm not going to put up with essentially this abuse. Like, I'm not going to be in a relationship or put up with someone speaking to me in this way, which I do respect.
I agree. And basically, like, the fight just goes on and on and on. I mean, it's the same. They're stuck in this ineffective cycle.
But to also give some context, while this is going on, Ani is very quietly and, like, while avoiding eye contact, going around the hotel room and packing. Like, she's on her way out. She's just trying to leave. Yeah. And Amani is, like, running after her and screaming and, like, getting up, trying to get in her face and all this stuff. So, like, just for context of, like, the vibe. And then Matt is literally physically getting in between Amani and Ani. And at one point, Matt, like, kind of gently puts his hand over Amani's mouth to be like, shh. Like,
he's trying everything.
And she's out of control. She really is. At one point, Amani does call Ani a bipolar bitch, which I'm like, number one, that's just not cool to call anyone in an argument. But also I'm like, is there some projection going on, Amani? Because you are seeming extremely unstable right now. And I would never use that as an insult. Like, it's just, like, objectively true. And you're the one that brought it up. I don't know. It just, like, felt like an interesting comment to be making.
I agree. And they're all going to the airport now.
Together.
I know. They're all flying home, you know, to their respective homes.
Sorry, just logistics queen of me, but I was confused because didn't Matt and Amani drive in their car from their house to Mexico?
You're right.
It doesn't really matter, but I was confused about why they were flying.
You're so right now that I think about it.
Where's the car?
And then why were they talking about, and they literally supposedly said, oh, the Uber's here. So it wasn't like they were driving home and dropped her at the airport on the way.
Because I was like, oh, maybe they rented a car, but why would they do that if they have their own car and they're driving on the way there? Guys, I just like, it doesn't matter, but it was just weird.
That is weird. So Ani is sharing in an interview like more of her perspective, and she's basically worried about going to the US and not being able to work and therefore being controlled financially by Amani.
She's so smart. And, yes.
Which is accurate. And she said even if she marries Matt, she still feels like Amani controls Matt. And so she could see, Amani being controlled no matter what the relationship is.
Spot on.
And meanwhile, Amani is like sobbing to Matt about how, Ani wants to be part of Matt's life, but views Amani as a problem. Like she thinks that the two of them are going to kind of
run off together.
Form an offshoot.
Yeah.
And Matt reassures her that there's no him without her, Amani.
And I'm like, Matt, escape. There can be a you without her. Not me rooting for Matt after all this.
I know. And then Matt at this point says in an interview that it feels crazy that they came all this way, Matt, her family, etc., for this to just fall apart. Which I don't think is that crazy because it's a really bad premise to begin with. But okay.
If you guys had any awareness, you'd actually be looking at the facts and the vibe and being like, actually, this is an extremely likely outcome.
And then Amani admits in an interview that she can be hurtful when things get heated. So it's like so funny that she like knows this about herself and like doesn't. I hate when people are like, that's just how I am about things you can actually change and control. I'm like, okay.
Maybe I'm being too empathetic or something because she is like displaying like honestly kind of like abusive behavior, which I think is like full stop not acceptable. Mm-hmm. Like, but I kind of feel bad for her. Like, what if she doesn't want to be acting this way, but like it's almost like chemically or whatever, like she can't help it in that sense. I mean, you can help it through therapy, of course, but like I feel bad for her if she doesn't mean to be such a bitch, but like something about her, whether it's her habits or like, I don't know, mentally something is holding her back in a sense from having healthy conflicts with, I mean, as much as it's like annoying when someone, and genuinely hurtful when someone is like flying off the handle and all that, like it's distressing for them too. Like it's just bad for everyone. Like I feel bad
She's
for her in
definitely
that
out
sense.
Of control. I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's also just a bad situation. Like there's no winners here. It's just crappy. And so Amani at this point says she's thinking of final words to say because she thinks this might be the last time they see Ani.
Don't worry, there's a reunion.
And Amani thanks Ani for opening her home and family to her and says she wouldn't change it for a thing.
Which is so awkward because I'm like, Ani is like actively avoiding eye contact with her because Amani was just screaming at her like 30 minutes before this.
I know.
And it's so funny to be like, hey, actually, I'm so grateful for everything you did. That's not even an apology. Like, I can't with her.
And then she does apologize, but she does like the textbook non-apology. She says, quote, "I'm sorry if I upset you or said something wrong. You know exactly what you said wrong." And then she says, "I'm sorry I'm not the person you want," which again, it's just like passive aggressive.
And it's like this like self-victimizing. It's like, I'm sorry that I can't measure up to what you want and I'm actually the one who should be pitied here. And it's like, no, you're actively being destructive.
Yeah. So she says, "I'm sorry I'm not the person you want or the person you deserve. Can you please look at me when I'm talking to you?" Ani says, "No, not today."
That was gaggy. That was boss of Ani. She just says no. I mean, he was like kind of gagged by that. That was so funny.
Ani then says in an interview that she wants to be with them, but she isn't happy with the changes she's seeing in Amani and that Amani needs a psychologist.
That is so funny.
And then later, Amani says to Matt, "I'm so confused. I don't know what I could have done different." It's like, you do. Like, this is the thing where I'm like, I know she's maybe more talking about like what she could have done different in the long run to make Ani pick her. But I'm like, you can't reflect on anything you could have done differently.
A lot of people lack reflection.
I know.
It blows my mind. Like, people will go through things where like it's so obvious to an outsider what they could have done differently or like what the red flags were. And they're like, it's crazy. It was unavoidable.
I know. And then Amani does more of this thing, which I freaking hate, which is this like weird self-pity thing of like, I'm so hard to love, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, you are, but it's your fault.
I know. And then Amani says in an interview that this is so funny. She goes, "I used to be 1,000% sure that we would go straight to a divorce lawyer after this, but now I'm not so sure." And like, I understand that divorce is the first step in this like otherwise like grand plan that they have, but it's so funny to be like, I thought we were going to go straight to get a divorce and now I don't know anymore. I'm like, okay.
And that's the bad thing. And you're like, right. Okay. Yeah.
And then Amani's just like continually sobbing about it. And like, I just don't care. And then that's the end of that. We end on I don't know if it counts as a cliffhanger because like I don't really see them like picking this up in like a spin-off show.
I hope not.
Just kind of open-ended.
I'm a little worried to see which of these people and in what configuration will show up on the show again, because I do fear I see a deep run for them, but not in a way that I like. Also, I'll say in the actual episode of the TV show, because we do it not in the order that is literally shown on screen, this was the very last scene we saw, which was a horrible way to end the episode, I thought.
It was very abrupt.
Yeah, and it was like, why are we ending on like after we've seen wedding after wedding after wedding that were, spoiler, but like by and large very sweet, and then if a little boring, like they were like a good way to wrap it up, and then the way that the show chooses to wrap it up is with like this like incredibly awkward like breakup and like a negative vibe. It just felt really weird. I guess it's to get people interested in seeing the reunion, but I don't know, it felt strange.
Yeah.
Bye bye throuple, I won't miss you.
Me either.
We now have Jessica and Juan, and they are, in addition to both of their families, at this rental home together. And it's the day of the wedding, and everyone's kind of getting ready together in like this kind of chaotic way. Slightly reminded me of like My Big Fat Greek Wedding, like when they're all getting ready together, like kind of cute vibes. And the one kind of like, what do you call it, tension in this episode, or like plot line essentially, is that Juan hasn't written his vows yet, which... not ideal. I'll just say that. Like, not ideal.
Yeah.
And you really should have written them sooner, Juan. But whatever. I think
also,
there's worse things.
I would just like to add one detail, which is when Jessica, because this theme comes up throughout the episode, when Jessica asks him if he finishes vows, he says no because his phone died and he couldn't find the charger.
Like, girl, what?
Like, I just love when people have an excuse for something. It's like, doesn't even cover. It's like, okay, that makes sense why you maybe didn't write them for a small window of time.
For like the 30 minutes before bed? Yeah.
But like, why have you not? You know what I mean? It's like, honestly, I feel like it's like why like teachers get mad when you're like, I need an extension on the homework. I was like, and it's like been like a project for 3 months, and you're like, I was sick yesterday. And they're like, okay, but like you know what I mean? Like it kind of had that energy, which I thought was funny.
Side note, Herbie's pouring everyone drinks at like, what is it, like 8 a.m? Orange juice and like rosé or something, like a mixed drink. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's crazy to me.
I know. Also, just as a contrast, just for the vows topic, it is revealed that Jessica's vows are 6 pages long, which I also think is way too long.
I know. Do you think they had the ceremony where it's like an hour-long ceremony out in the cold and shit like that?
Probably. But again, I will say, we saw more like loving moments between them this episode than normal. But this is kind of what I'm saying is like, Jessica wrote her vows 6 pages long, months in advance. He has not yet written his vows day of. Like, it just...
yeah.
I know opposites attract or whatever, apparently. But this is the things where I'm just like... it just strikes me as, like, just two such vastly different people, you know?
Yeah, and I think there's something to, like, opposites attract, but I don't know about opposites staying together.
I actually think the single most important thing in a relationship, in my experience, is that you go through the world in the same way and perceive things in the same way.
Yes.
Like, the worst thing ever is, like, you're at a party and you meet someone who's, like, really bitchy, and then you tell your partner and they're like, she seems so sweet. Like, that kind of thing, I think, is, like, the worst. So to have a partner where, like, you go somewhere and perceive things the same way, I think that's, like, probably the most important thing, in my opinion.
Totally.
This is not exactly that, but it's, like, just such different perceptions of, like, what the situation is. Like, Jessica being like, this is the super sacred thing I'm doing months in advance, and him being like, I just feel like it, to a certain degree, it speaks to, like, not having the same vantage point.
Interesting.
So everyone, as you mentioned, is getting ready in the house. There's a lot of like different interactions occurring. And Juan makes a joke to Herbie that I was like, ugh. He was like, the wedding is canceled. I'm going back to Colombia. JK. I know. I'm sorry. I don't like jokes like that. I don't think that's funny or like cool to do like on your wedding day. I think it's really weird.
I feel the same way. I'm hoping it was just like one of those like ball and chain jokes.
Which I famously hate. I know.
Yes. Hate those, but it's like almost in that like compulsory way where like that's how you've been raised. Like that's the kind of joke you should make, and you haven't really like deconstructed like, wait, I don't actually agree with that.
Like 5 minutes later, Herbie says, last day of your single life. And I'm like, Herbie, no, he's been in a relationship this whole time. What do you mean single?
I don't think you can make those jokes to someone who literally is a cheater.
I know. So I think maybe it's just the environment. Like they're all making jokes where I'm like, ugh.
Jessica and Megan and the kids in one car, and then Juan and his family in another car all go to the wedding venue. In an interview, Jessica says that she wants Juan's cousin's help with putting some Spanish into her wedding vows. So that's almost why I can't fully get mad at Juan, is I'm like, now why is Jessica also adding stuff to her vows day of?
I know. No, you're right. And I will say overall, I did soften to them in this episode. I know I'm still being critical, but it's just because I like to be critical, but I did soften to them in this episode a bit.
I'm excited to get into that because, I'm famously been very soft to them the whole time. But the reason she wants to add Spanish is to prove to Juan that she'll learn Spanish, which that means something. And I was really happy. It kind of happens later, but I'll just mention it now. But when the cousin is helping her put Spanish into her vows, I was actually pleasantly surprised to see that Jessica had already written vows in Spanish. And then she was getting the cousin's help in making it a more accurate translation. And I was worried that she was just going to make the cousin randomly day of just translate the whole 6 pages. So I was genuinely happy to see that there was effort put in.
She didn't do the whole thing in Spanish. She added a few sentences of Spanish.
Sure.
Just to be clear.
Yes, true. I'm also suspicious that maybe she just put something into Google Translate and wrote it down. But whatever.
Almost certainly. But at least she had the smarts to ask an actual Spanish speaker instead of just saying some poorly translated thing from the internet.
Very true. She should have just asked David. Everyone's at the venue now, and it is ceremony time. We see Jessica in her wedding dress, and she feels very beautiful. And I think she looked great. Mm-hmm. And we see Juan in his suit, and it's this kind of powder blue suit that I thought looked really good on him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, their outfits were good. And also, side note, weirdly, why was the theme red, white, and blue?
I didn't think about that.
Because he has this blue suit on. The flowers are white and red roses, and she's in her white dress. And I was not the super American wedding. It's just kind of funny to me. Juan starts walking down the aisle with his 2 aunts on both of his arms. They're the older sisters of his mom. And in an interview, Juan explains that his mom died a few years ago, which we knew. Jessica actually got to meet her while she was still alive, which is so special.
Really special.
But his mom never got to meet David, their baby. So it's just, that sucks. And it's really meaningful for him that at least her sisters can be there with him, walking him down the aisle. I just got chills. Oh my God, I'm a soft touch. And now we see the ring bearers. We were very confused on the logistics of this, but it was very cute. It was the 3 boys. So Dayton, Dawson, and David. And Dayton, the oldest, is carrying David. So that explains how David can be a ring bearer as well.
Of course they had a word sign with them.
Oh, baby, they had a word sign. Dawson, the middle child, is carrying a word art sign, my notes say, that says, "Daddy, here comes mommy." And also, I'm just obsessed with the fact that that's a thing that exists and that you can buy. Clearly, it wasn't custom made.
No, this is the worst part. It's the generic wedding stuff.
Yeah.
There's this pre-configured poems and stuff that you get, and it makes me feel sick.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? It was such a full circle moment for us specifically, and I really enjoyed that. Because Jessica was the first one whose word art we noticed.
I know. I would like to invite one specific topic, which is, what was the weather? Because there was snow on the ground, but it was half melted. But then the bridesmaids were wearing spaghetti strap dresses. But then there was one little a girl, I don't know if she's a flower girl or something, and she had kind of a grimace on her face. And I felt if anyone would reveal with their face that it's really cold, it would be a child who doesn't know better than to kind of grin and bear it,
Yeah.
And maybe it was one of those freaky, uncharacteristically warm days, I'm hoping. But sorry, they explicitly said it was in winter. This was a theme earlier.
Yeah.
Why were the bridesmaids wearing spaghetti straps?
It's that thing that you talked about. It's well, at my wedding, I always pictured having this style of dress on my bridesmaid. That's what I think.
I actually need to find out the exact date they got married and exact location. And
I mean, but people in the crowd were wearing jackets. The weather. In the audience, they were wearing jackets. So I think it was cold.
I hate that.
Also, by the way, sorry to be mean, but they were not wearing cute jackets. They were wearing just a leather jacket. One person was wearing a flannel. I'm come on. And then one guy was in a t-shirt and he had a backwards skull baseball cap on. And I was just oh my God. Oh my God, this is why you can't get married in Wyoming. I'm sorry.
These people don't respect you. So, and then I'm just thinking about the fact that the bridesmaids are there in their spaghetti straps and they're having to listen to Jessica read her 6-page vows.
It's painful. Anyway, Juan cries during his vows, which always means something to me. I love when men cry.
I agree.
So sweet. And Jessica does the Spanish part of her vows, which is sweet. Her pronunciation is atrocious, but it seems
you can tell it's really bad, but she did try a little bit.
She did try, which it's clear to Juan's face that meant something to him. And they're pronounced husband and wife. Dawson and Dayton, the 2 of the kids, have an interview where they say, "Today we got a stepdad. Today we got a special stepdad," which is just so cute. I love the way that they embrace Juan, and it seems like they all love each other. I mean, it really means something. And oh my God, did you see the shot of the wedding cake with the neon word art above it? Yeah, on the wall.
Did it say No, I didn't.
It just says treat yourself.
Okay.
That feels like such a funny thing to have in a wedding venue. It seems like something that would be like on like a, I don't know, like at H&M or something like that, or like a cupcake shop.
Or like a spa or something.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Amazing. And
no, not even a spa. You're right. A cupcake shop is the right
cupcake
thing.
Shop. And they play
It's cake. It's over the cake.
It's very literal. It's literally like, oh, treat yourself. Would you like a slice?
Help yourself.
And at the reception, it seems that they play salsa music and everyone's salsa's on the dance floor, which Juan shouts out as being really sweet for him because obviously that's Colombian. It was a sweet wedding. Everyone seemed really happy and having fun, and I'm glad that... I will say, though, the producers are kind of like pushing this, like we talked about in the last episode, of like wrapping things up in a bow. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel that even if there was little like annoyances, like if Juan didn't feel that his Colombianness was represented as much as he had hoped at the wedding, I kind of feel like they wouldn't include that. So it's maybe I'm being conspiracy theory, but like, I don't know. It was interesting how like all of the weddings went just smoothly. And I'm like, really, no one had like anything. There was a little bit.
Yeah. Even like, you know, Juan hadn't written his vows, but then like he wrote them and they seemed like they were good. And like he even had them in Spanish and English.
That's crazy. You might just be like a procrastinator who can pull it out in the end. Yeah. Congrats to the happy couple. You know, I've always been rooting for them. Wait, Sophie, do you want to quickly like talk about what you were talking about, how you kind of softened to them in this episode? Would you give some details on that for my own satisfaction?
I'm not 100% conceding. Like I still, okay, this is my take on them, to be honest. I think they are a couple who has a lot of fun when things are good and easy. Like meeting on a cruise ship and they're like kissing in the whatever and like going on vacation together. Like I see them as a couple that is attracted to each other and enjoys each other's company during the easy times. But then I feel like when things get not just difficult, but like sort of real, they kind of lose each other a bit. I just think the fact that Jessica is such a like kind of, what's the word? Like she's the doer in the relationship. She's the responsible one, whatever. And he's kind of like the dreamer. And like, I just, I don't feel like it works that well day to day. Like, I feel like their conflicts that exist are mostly kind of day-to-day conflicts of like, I don't want to be the person who's cleaning the house or I like, but I felt I got more insights into like how good it is when it's good, if that makes sense.
Okay. Whereas previously you basically felt that you hadn't seen that at all, right?
Seeing how emotional they were during their vows and seeing them kind of reminisce on like meeting and the good times, like it gave me a little more insight into like their bond, let's say. I'm still not convinced like, oh, this is actually the perfect couple and it was just a bad edit. Like I still think they have fundamental incompatibilities and like what they want in life. I think that is going to be impossible to overcome pretty much because I do think like, sorry to say it so bluntly, like I think Juan is never going to be happy with like the life that Jessica has tied herself to. But on the other hand, seeing, you know, what seems like a real friendship formed with Herbie, seeing, you know, also like hopefully his family can come visit more. You know what I mean? Like the fact that they come for the wedding was a really good sign that like it's possible for them to visit at all. I just, like I said, I don't want to say I changed my mind, but I softened a little bit. I still don't get it, but I guess I can see that they get it.
Right. I mean, that's the truth is like just knowing you, like, I mean, you wouldn't be in that position at all, right? Like you wouldn't have a baby with a person that like you got pregnant with on accident that you're not even like married to and like you don't even live in the same place. Like you wouldn't be in, and I wouldn't either. I am not saying it like I wouldn't, you wouldn't. But I understand like, I wonder if it's also possible that you're just like kind of like me with Stevi and Mahdi where I'm like, I don't know, maybe they're a good couple. I don't get them at all. Like they don't make sense to me, but okay.
It's very possible. And I think a lot of it too is just comes down to this feeling of like, I struggle sometimes when people make choices where I'm like, I feel like the choice wasn't fully thought out because I'm like, Juan, if you're proposing to this woman and getting her pregnant, like you're gonna have to live in the same place as her probably, hopefully. Right. And you haven't thought through the fact that like you don't want to live in the place that she lives and not just lives but is tied to because she has two other children whose dad lives there.
Yeah. And like you haven't even visited there.
And so I'm like, given that set of constraints, I do think they're making the best choices they can, but I wouldn't even get into that situation with that set of constraints. And again, I feel like the difference here is like, let's say there's a couple where they already got a visa lined up for the partner or whatever, and then all of a sudden like Trump imposes a ban and people from that country can't come to the US anymore. And it's like genuinely like they had thought through the steps, but they hadn't planned for this unexpected thing. I would feel differently because it's like, oh my God, that sucks. Like shit happens. Like, but I think it's like, why are you unprepared for the outcome, which is like her current life, which you have access to information about.
Yeah.
That just feels like sloppy to me. So it's kind of like, I just like think it's weird and I don't get it.
Fair enough. I guess on some level, I'm glad that you at least understand the thing that I feel like I've been seeing, which is when it's good, what the good parts are. Because I think for the longest time, that's the thing that you couldn't understand is like, well, I don't even see what the connection is.
Yeah. To me, the whole time they felt like two strangers who I've never met before. And at least like seeing them get like emotional and their vows and everything, I was like, okay, like they clearly do have a connection. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go so far as to say I understand, but at least I could see like, you know, especially when they like, you know, Juan's reminiscing on like, I remember like meeting her on the boat, whenever, like I felt like, okay, like there was a time when it wasn't just about like logistics and like there was something organic that happened. So it's kind of a like I said, like I slightly was like, oh, okay, I guess I see it, but I still am not like, oh my God, I totally get it.
Yeah. Congrats to the happy couple though.
Congrats. Next up is Mark and Mina. It's at this point 2 hours until their wedding. Mm-hmm. Mina is getting ready for the wedding. And this is like such a small thing, but like Maria is like climbing all over Mina as she's like getting her hair done and makeup done. And like Mina has to be like, Mark, who's in the room, like, can you take Maria? Like, he's just so not good at like being proactive in a situation, you know?
And also, I think we can be extra harsh with him because unlike a Juan who's just being plopped into the middle of fatherhood without a, you know, soft landing or like intro to it. And like, you know, it wasn't even a plot point with them. But like if he was fucking stuff up, it's like, okay, well, he's totally new to it and he's getting used to it. Mark literally had 2 children before this who are adults now. Like he's been through this.
I know.
There's no excuse.
And so one like mini plot point, but again, it's like Mark, is that they have this picture they printed out of Clayton that they want to put on a chair to sort of signify that Clayton's with them. He's also going to be calling via an iPad, but they just like want a physical representation of him.
Yeah.
And Mina has to like on multiple occasions remind Mark to not forget the photo. And then he like is leaving and forgets the photo.
Come on.
And she's like, oh, you forgot. And they're kind of laughing about it, but I'm like, she asked you to do one thing. Like...
That's the thing about him, like we've talked about this, like he can do the grand gesture, but not the everyday shit.
I know. And we meet a new character, Mark's best friend, Philippe.
Yes.
Who is seemingly French.
Yeah.
And also later seemingly the officiant. And also wearing a blazer with shorts.
What? I did not see that.
And listen, maybe he put real pants on for the wedding, but there was a scene of Mark like fully dressed and Philippe was wearing a blazer and shorts. And it really did disturb me.
I did not notice this during the ceremony. I fucking hope he had pants on.
I hope so too. I don't want to start any rumors about Philippe, but there was a moment where he was wearing what appeared to be a business casual outfit with, and this is the scary part, it wasn't like basketball shorts where you know he's going to change. It was like khaki
yachting
shorts.
Yeah, like
J. Crew kind of shorts. So,
ooh.
But maybe he changed.
I hope so.
Meanwhile, Mina is getting ready. Her sister Alex is zipping up her dress. I love that she has her sister here.
I love it.
And then Maria, of course, has the cutest little dress because she's also, I think, the ring bearer at their wedding.
Seemed like it. Or flower girl, something like that.
And then we have the classic, back to Mark, and we have the classic humor. His brother Rich is there, and he's like making a joke that it's not too late to end the relationship.
Like, oh my God. But that's what I'm saying of like, I do feel like this is low-key a part of a subset of American culture that, thank God, we are not a part of. But like these kind of jokes are like a thing.
I mean, the whole industry of cake toppers where it's like the woman is forcing not like, I get it. I just hate it. And I hate that like all these people are engaging in it.
Yeah, it's freaky as all hell. I don't get it.
We also now like see Mark's son. Have we seen him before?
No, Jack.
We've heard him, but I don't think we've seen him before.
Never. Why was he kind of hot?
I know. I was like,
his face was hot, but then he was obviously a sloppy person. Not me immediately bullying him, but sorry, he didn't brush his hair and it looked like a mess and it was long. So it's like, boys, you can't have long hair if you're not going to brush it. Brush your fucking hair.
At this point, okay, I don't know why this cracked me up so much. Mark is giving an interview and he says, to put it in pilot terms, this has been a choppy and turbulent 90 days. I'm like, you know, Mark, those are also normal words. Like, those aren't like specialized terms that like only a pilot would know.
Heard of it?
us non-pilots can also describe things as turbulent that aren't a flight, you know?
Obsessed with that.
So at this point, we come back to a bit of drama, which was a big topic in the first few episodes, but has been largely forgotten since then, which is the whole prenup drama, especially focusing on Mark's adult daughter, Jordan. And so there's an interview with Jordan where she basically says, like, she's still a little worried, but she's happy that Mina signed the prenup. And it's like, what else is there to say, honestly?
Yeah.
And then Maria, okay, so we go back to, like, the moment of the actual wedding. Maria is the cutest ring bearer ever. She, like, sprints down the aisle, and everybody in the audience is clapping for her.
Aww.
And it just made me happy to feel like whatever feelings people might have towards Mark or even Mina, like, it doesn't seem like they're taking it out on Maria, which I really appreciate.
And she's cute as a button. She's just adorable.
I know. Mina is then walked down the aisle by someone who is not introduced, but context clues Mark's dad. And I just remembered, like, Mark is so old, so, like, his dad's even older.
I always forget that Mark's parents are alive. I'm like, how is that possible? And I'm like, oh, he's only 58 or something. He's not that old.
I know, but then you see Maria with her grandparents. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of jarring. I like that those are just quote unquote her grandparents.
I know. Ancestors. Right.
As Mina's walking down the aisle / gets up to the altar, we do see Clayton on the iPad. And I feel so sad that he's not there, but he's like being a good sport about it. Like, he's still happy to be present, you know?
He's so cute.
And then, like, suddenly there's the reveal that the officiant is maybe Philippe and also is French.
Which is also said to be Mark's best friend. And I'm like, that's so funny that his best friend is French. What's his French connection?
I know.
I've always kind of thought that Mark is maybe, like, his grandparents are Cajun.
An accusation.
Because we know that his parents are, because we've met them and they don't have, like, a Cajun accent. But the way that he pronounces certain words and, like, randomly knows things about France, avion, like, the way that he, like,
what does he
randomly...
know? His knowledge of France is comparable to Jessica's knowledge.
Sorry, not France, but, like, he weirdly knows some French words. Like, I feel like when Mina will speak to him in French, like, he low-key understands a lot of it. And I almost feel like he knows, like, Cajun Creole French. Because also sometimes he'll say things, and, like, the way that he says it, I'm like, why does he kind of sound like he has a Cajun accent? Like, almost as if, like, a grandparent hadn't it. Like, he picked up on it. My conspiracy theory, I want to know if Mark is Cajun.
Mark Cajun truthers rise up.
I've never mentioned it because it's so random. But, like, sometimes when he says things, I'm just like, I can hear Cajun here. And he's like, because also sometimes he'll say, when he says, like, he'll be like, or, like, he'll be like, D. Like, I don't know. It's like so...
You know what? I'm sorry you've had to carry this burden alone and you haven't been able to share. I haven't been a safe space for you to share this with.
Also, Sophie, why did I actually genuinely kind of think that when I said this, you were going to be like, I've been thinking the same thing? And the way that you...
I'm not saying you're wrong because I don't have any information, but the concept of, like, having a whole accent because you had one singular grandparent that... because, like, by the way, all 4 of my grandparents have accents. And I don't think you can, like, identify my grandparents' origins through my accent.
Well, I just think he's Cajun and his parents aren't, so I'm trying to come up with, like, a way that he could be secretly Cajun.
Maybe he was sent away to a Cajun family and they raised him.
Maybe. Now we're on to something. Sorry,
he was adopted as an adult and he grew up Cajun.
Maybe it's like switched at birth and his parent. Okay. Anyway.
The switch sort of later because he had to have developed the Cajun accent.
No. He switched. And so he grew up with the Cajun family, but his.
And then got unswitched? Like in the show Switched at Birth?
Switched at birth and also Too Fat to Transition. That's going to be the new TLC.
Switched at Birth Creole.
And Luckin.
Okay.
What? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I guess in my head, thinking that he was Cajun, I was like, well, that's why his friend is French. It doesn't make sense, but that's where my brain went.
Well, I love knowing where you're at, so I appreciate that. Okay, so they have the ceremony. The ceremony is completed. Clayton is, like, clapping over the iPad.
My angel.
And then, why was a seaplane involved? Why did they go directly from exchanging rings to getting on a seaplane?
Because it's Mark's wedding, baby. Oh my God, that's why they got married at that lake. And, like, Mark was like, where can we go where there's a plane involved?
And, okay, they just, like, fly away. They do come back for the reception, but, like, I thought they were just leaving. Like, I didn't realize.
Also, it's so funny, like, fly away and then just like circle back and land and come back.
Yeah, I didn't really get it. And then I will point out two things here. Number one, there's plane footage, including a selfie video Mina takes of them on the plane with the heaviest beauty filter. She looks unrecognizable. And it's funny because you have like the side by side of like the camera footage and the selfie. And it's like, the thing with these filters, they only work if you're maintaining a whole online presence where nobody knows what you actually look like.
Yes.
But as soon as the facade drops, like, it's kind of embarrassing to show that you've been portraying yourself like dramatically differently.
Agreed.
At this point, I also want to add, I know you don't watch the coming up soon bits in the show, but there was one that kind of caught my attention, which is early on they showed coming up soon, and it was Mina telling Mark that she's pregnant. And this is just, I just want to say in terms of like the sloppy producing. So like you can kind of tell that's not really what's happening, because why would they drop like the juiciest thing in just a preview? But on the plane, at this point, they've already done the coming up soon and I'm pregnant. She's drinking champagne on the plane. So I'm like, okay, so obviously she's not pregnant if she's drinking alcohol.
Or I hope she's not.
How French are you? No, like, but you know what I mean? It's like, at least like edit that out if you really want us to believe.
That's deep.
So they randomly get back from the seaplane to go to the reception. There's one more interview with Jordan where she says that she sees more potential for the family with Mina, but she will be really upset if they have more kids, which at this point I think is so irrelevant. Like, I feel like they just forced her to say that because, like, really, who cares?
And if she does, that's so loser behavior. You have to stop caring.
I know. And then at this point, there's an interview with Mina and Mark, and Mina tells Mark, like, I'm pregnant. And then she's like, just kidding.
And, like, they're super sloshed at that point also. So I'm like...
That's what I mean. She was drinking.
They're, like, actively drunk, and she's like, I'm pregnant. And Mark is like, I would be like, girl, what the hell? Not for long.
And that was the end of that. And again, it's just, like, tied up with a bow. Like, it's fine. Like, there was no real drama. Like, for the sake of these people's actual relationships, I'm happy that there wasn't more drama. But I'm also just like, okay, I don't know. Like, whatever.
And that was the last wedding that we see. We have one more couple, but there was no wedding going on, so... and that's not a spoiler. It already happened. It's Shawn Alliya. My prediction is that at the reunion, Mina announces that she's pregnant or already had a kid or something. I don't know how much time passed.
Would not shock me.
I bet that she's pregnant either then or by now, which it's been even longer since this came out. But that's my prediction. Putting it in.
Noted.
Okay. Yay. Shawn Alliya. Woohoo. Yay. Crowd, get the energy up. Woo. Just kidding. They suck. So it's the day after the wedding, and Shawn and Alliya are like at some outdoor cafe. And Shawn in an interview says that they, meaning him and Alliya, slept in separate rooms on their wedding night. Romantic.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why they went through with it. You know what I mean? I'm just like, what? Who's this for?
I just think it was like sunk cost fallacy. They were like, well, everyone's here.
In this conversation, essentially, him and Alliya are now discussing the wedding, which was the day before.
And might I add, with the worst vibes imaginable.
Yeah.
They both look like hostages. It really is not a good energy.
Tell me why Shawn has more resentment built up against Alliya than Juan, who cheated on her 8 months pregnant.
I know. Well, it's because he hates Alliya. I mean...
Yeah, it's because he doesn't like her as a person, and he's sad that she is getting rid of his favorite toy, which is her penis. And he's an objectifying, creepy piece of shit. To Alliya, Shawn says that her being late to the wedding by 2 hours, may I remind you, felt selfish to him. And he was in a situation where his mom was injured and the bride was 2 hours late to the ceremony. And he says, quote, "You took all the joy out of it for me. All of it." He says it like that. Also,
I just want to add, he does at this point, like, in the sort of saying how she seemed selfish, he's like, you know, I thought my mom was going to die. And I'm like, okay, I do hear Shawn, like, I do think Alliya was selfish, but, like, he did not really think his mom was going to die. Like, I'm sorry. Like, became clear pretty quickly that she was not going to die. And he kept insisting, like, she's going to die at the wedding. And I'm like, I really don't think that was ever really on the table.
Also, if you felt that way, you should have called an ambulance. Like,
I know.
That just means you're a bad son. Like, I'm like, that doesn't, so it's obviously not true. Like, yeah, he's just trying to use that to guilt Alliya even further.
And the irony is, Alliya fucked up. Like, he doesn't need to bring extra shit. He could just be like, you ruined my day and you ruined all the guests' day, and like, it made me really question you as a person. Like, he doesn't need to be like, and my mom was gonna die.
I totally agree. And Alliya says that, this kind of confused me because Alliya says she didn't know, quote, that your mom was there and no one told me that. And I'm like, but Jackie did.
Well, I think she didn't know she was at the wedding venue. Like, she didn't realize she was waiting. Because he was like, you made her wait for 2 hours with like her foot up. And she's like, I didn't know she was at the venue. Which again, super weak argument back as well. Like,
yeah, because it's like, well, you could have assumed that, and then also, why didn't you clarify? And yeah, it just
also, what about the other people who also didn't want to wait 2 hours for you?
Right. It's also 104 outside. Anyway, and then Shawn asks if Jackie was helping Alliya and getting her to hurry up getting ready, or was Jackie just hanging out and enjoying her extra 2 hours? It's like Shawn doesn't even like Jackie. Shawn hates everyone who's not like his mom or himself.
Also, I thought the language around these questions about Jackie was really funny. He also was asking like what Jackie told Alliya, and it's like this interesting thing of him trying to like antagonize everybody, where I'm like, Jackie's not involved. Like, it doesn't actually matter. Like, Jackie's not your partner. Like, I don't know. It just he had this vitriol for everyone.
And it's also not Jackie's fault that Alliya was late. Like, yeah, I do think, like, objectively looking at the situation, Jackie could have helped hurry her up. But it's like, from Shawn's perspective, it just shows that he is not actually in good faith trying to resolve a, in my opinion, fair conflict. Like, I actually agree that what Alliya did was fucked up. I totally agree with that, full stop. That said, Shawn is not in good faith having this argument. He's not doing it trying to be emotionally regulated, trying to focus on the issue at hand that actually matters, which there are, like, those exist. He's just trying to make her feel bad and, like, pour his rage onto her.
And the irony here is this is a fight he could, not that it's about winning, but this is a fight he could win based on just the facts. Like, he doesn't need to, like make it more, like, he could still be like, this is objectively shitty, but, like, he is bringing extra energy into it, which is not helpful.
No, and genuinely, like, I don't want to say scary necessarily, but, like, concerning, because why do you have such a well of anger toward her?
I agree.
That's not good.
I will say, though, the next thing he said, I was kind of like, you know what, Shawn, you're right.
What did he say?
Why didn't you even call my cell phone to say, like, okay, so they have cell phones.
So, yeah, he had his phone on him. Okay, I'm going to Conspiracy Town a la Bachelor Clues from Game of Roses pod. Conspiracy Town population me. Because she didn't say if she had her phone on her, technically. I kind of think that production took her phone from her. Because do you remember, though, that she kept asking Jackie, like, Jackie was the one telling her the time and telling her all this stuff. So I'm like, I don't think that Alliya had her phone on her.
But, you know, it's very possible. But then I also feel like if Shawn had his phone on him, why didn't, like, I'm sorry, I never want to side with Shawn. If I heard, though, that my partner's beloved mom had injured herself, I would be like, I need to get in touch with my partner. Like,
that's true.
Can I use your phone? Can I, like, I do, although it's possible she didn't have her phone, I don't think they had cut her off from, like, all society. Like,
she also could have left the room and gone and found him. Yes, true.
So I do feel like it was a bit weird in Shawn's, like, despite the fact that Shawn was being a bit dramatic about it, like, he was clearly really worried about his mom, and, like, I would also be pissed if my partner didn't even try to contact me to be like the fact that when Jackie said, Jean fell, I want you to, I feel like my first response would be like, wait, I gotta call Shawn. I need at least to be like, hey, I heard about your mom. I hope you guys are both okay.
Right, yeah.
So I do think it's weird she, like, didn't have the instinct to call him.
Agreed.
I will say, I do think it speaks to the dynamic they have where Shawn takes care of her in a way.
He doesn't necessarily do it well, but he does.
Yeah, I don't think but I feel like it's a relationship where the kind of taken care of, quote unquote, flows in Shawn's direction towards Alliya, and she's just kind of like, I mean, it's like a classic sugar daddy thing. Like, she just provides, like, being cute and fun, you know? So it just is interesting to see her, like, not engage in, like, sort of bare minimum caring behavior, I think.
I think that's
that
fair.
I thought was odd.
I don't want to speak for you, but from my perspective, anything I say in quote unquote siding with Shawn, the goal is not to defend Shawn, actually. It's more like if Alliya ever heard this or something, I'd like her to learn from it, not in the sense of how she can improve her relationship with Shawn, because they shouldn't be together, but I would like her to learn from it in the sense of how she should behave in relationships after this.
Yes. I agree 100% with that.
For the record, we are not defending Shawn. We are not siding with Shawn. We are using Shawn as a placeholder to reflect on Alliya's approach to relationships.
Yes. I agree with that 100%.
Yes.
And if we are siding with Shawn, we are doing it under duress. So it really speaks to the gravity of a situation. And to your point, I mean, I'm just rehashing what you said, but any criticism of Alliya is truly constructive in nature. We're never, like, trying to tear her down as a person, but, like, there are things she could improve, and because we think really highly of her, we want her to do so. You know, we want her to blossom into the best version of herself.
Exactly.
So yeah, all love to her, but she, you know what? She fucked up this time. She did.
She did. Alliya in an interview says that she's had a lot of difficult moments in her life and ones that she didn't have support in necessarily. And even if the circumstances are not perfect, she appreciates people being there for her when they can. And in this situation, she would love if Shawn, even when the circumstances are bad, as they were at the wedding, if he could just be more, and she says, I don't know if it's grateful. I think the word that she's looking for is like appreciative of her, is my estimation. And she says that I think we are just different and it worries me. And I mean, that's the thing we've been saying this whole time is, I mean, we've also been saying that Shawn's the devil, which is true. But that's it at the end of the day, right? Is that they're not compatible. Like they're too different in ways that are causing resentment and sadness and like just like conflict that shouldn't be there in a healthy relationship. Conflict will always exist in a relationship between two people, but this kind of conflict is not healthy long term. Like it's just not good for either of you. So yeah, you're too different. It should worry you. You shouldn't be together. You probably shouldn't have gotten married. And Shawn says to her in the moment, nobody's time is important but yours. I don't know if that's going to be forever, but I'm not going to be able to continue to love you if you're making me feel that you're selfish.
That was crazy.
Shawn, it's just like he kind of similar to a Minnie. He loves an excuse to just straight up be mean to his partner.
I'm not going to be able to continue to love you. Also, the way the tone is almost like a layoff. It's like, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to keep you with the company. Like,
yeah.
What?
Do you know why it feels that way? Because their relationship is so transactional. It's like a business relationship.
Yeah, I know you're right.
It's just, but it's sad. Like, it's not how it should be. It's stupid. To emphasize what we always say, Shawn is unforgivably mean and has no business being with someone he is so incompatible with, who he harbors resentment against and actively tears down in their relationship. Like, he's disgusting. So like, even though, okay, so the worst thing that Alliya did was be late, which is bad, but was be late and be a little immature. And then the worst thing that Shawn does is actively be cruel to someone who has basically no escape route except for going back to a country where they feel that they can't continue to live a life that is authentic to them. I do just feel that those two things are not equivalent. Like his is way worse.
Also, we can criticize Alliya for the things that we think she should improve, but she's never had bad intentions or been cruel. I think that really is the difference.
Yes. And then Alliya says that she just feels sorry for what's going on with his mom and being late to the wedding and ruining everything. She apologizes. And Shawn says, just like a crazy quote, as he always does. He says, you have to know two things about me. One is I'm super generous, which, first of all, I don't know about all that.
I know.
And he continues. But the other part of me is that, and he has horrible grammar too. Like, dude, okay. But the other part of me is that if I do all those things for people and they hurt me or take advantage, the only thing I know to do is to remove myself from them. And these things that make me go, maybe I need to push you away in order to save myself. Like, first of all, that was like barely a full sentence. That was like so
crazy sentence, yeah.
It's stupid. Like, what do you... Okay, I get what he's saying, but like, my God, it was not said well. So basically, is he saying, I'm thinking of breaking up with you right now?
Well, I kind of get the feeling that like this is maybe the straw that broke the camel's back. But I'm like, why did we go into a marriage one straw away from breaking?
Right. Yeah, it's just like such a cruel thing to say to someone. And not like we needed proof for this because I already knew it, but it is proof that Shawn is not going into this conversation trying to like repair what was damaged, not by him, you know, I mean, Alliya being late, you're allowed to be mad at that. You should be probably, but like, you're not looking to like hear an apology and like hear both of your perspectives and like come out the other side stronger and like whatever. He's just trying to use it as fuel to bully her, like to just hold something over her head and like be cruel to her. I mean, it's reprehensible. Yeah. You can't be acting this way. And this dude is in his 60s. I would just like to remind everyone, Alliya is in her 20s. Who knows her relationship experience out of Shawn? He could have been her first boyfriend. You know what I mean? Possibly not, but also possibly that's the case. And then Shawn is in his 60s and has had a marriage and children before this and a slew of sexual partners and romantic partners. Like, it's just... I would just like to emphasize the imbalance between these two people and how creepy it is from Shawn's side. I
know. And this is just so unsatisfying. Like, Alliya basically at this point, like, she said in the interview, like, she feels wrong and she feels small. And it's like...
It's not how you should feel the day after your wedding.
First of all, that. But it's also, like, it kind of is clear, like, Shawn's goal was to be punitive more than anything, because, like, now Alliya just feels like shit. And it's like, okay, I think she deserves to, like, a little bit feel like shit, because, like, she did, you know, do something that negatively affected other people. But, like, she doesn't deserve to be, like, self-flagellating in such an intense way. And, like, and then, like, later she says something about, like, I should be living my fairy tale. And I'm like, quit it with the fairy tale stuff, Alliya. Life is not a fairy tale.
I know. I mean, this is one of the things where I was like, damn, we were spot on. She thinks this is a fairy tale, and she's said it explicitly here, you know? And yeah, it's not, Alliya, and that's okay, you know? There's beauty in the reality of things, even if they're not a fairy tale. But it's like, you're so naive, like, and you weren't ready for this, and you were taken advantage of in many ways by Shawn. Like, I feel bad for her, but yes, you are not ready for this.
And the worst part is these people are married.
I am most curious to see what the vibe is between them at the reunion, if they're even still together.
I'm super curious. If these two are still together, we're taking an airplane to LA, and we're talking some sense into Alliya.
And you have to shake her. Alliya, you can get out!
This is a good tie-in to what we were talking about earlier about, like, how much you can talk to people. Like, if Alliya were happy in this relationship, like, if she were like, and we're seeing all these red flags, but she's fine with it, like, where do you go from there? You know?
I don't know.
If she's like, this is my fairy tale romance, and we're like, this guy is a creepy transphobe, like, you know?
I know. I guess the thing is just the way that I view the world is I'm like, well, she's not happy. And I think that if your partner is a creepy transphobe who's taking an advantage of you, you aren't actually happy. You might be pretending to be, you know, but like,
you might think
you're not,
yeah.
You're not. Like, so it's like, and if your friend couldn't listen to reason, I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea how I would respond in that situation. Because, like, on one level, you want to be there for your friend to, like, gently be like, hey, yeah, he's making you cry again for the third time this week. Notice how I'm not doing that in my relationship, or, like, other people, or whatever, like, comparison. Like, life is more than even your romantic relationship, like, you know, and he's not letting you enjoy other things. It's just like, I don't know. I feel grateful that at least so far in my life, I haven't experienced that kind of thing with a friend. But, you know, life is long. It will probably happen at some point. I have no idea. It sounds incredibly challenging.
I know.
Even just watching Alliya, this person who I don't know, I'm frustrated and sad for her. Like, I can't imagine.
I know. It is complicated.
Yeah. But Alliya, we love you and we wish you the best, and we feel really bad that you're in this situation. And we're very excited to see where you go from here. We hope it's just up and
away from that man. I can't believe we did it. We finished the season. I mean, I know we have the reunion, but, like, we finished the, like, produced, cut together storylines. It's crazy. I'm so proud of us. I mean, I know it's kind of funny to be proud of us for, like, watching TV and talking about it, but we did something. We stuck with it, you know?
I know. I don't stick with stuff. Like, I'm the queen of quitting things. I feel like you've said the same thing about yourself.
I'm such a hobby hopper. I know.
Everyone, thank you so much for sticking with us. Please come back to check out the reunion. We will be doing it in one part. It's 2 episodes originally, and we know it's going to be a lot of filler. So I think we can do it in one.
It does seem to be like kind of a classic, at least in part, a classic reality TV reunion where they're like all on couches talking to each other. So it's all going to be like mixed. So it's going to be a different format for us to review. So I'm curious how that will go, but we're so excited.
I know. I can't wait to see like who comes for who from the different couples.
I mean, I'm foaming at the mouth for the reunion. I don't want to be dramatic, but like if the reunion is like just like disappointing, dumb shit, like I'm genuinely going to need like
compensation.
I'm going to need to go to one of those spas where they do like an IV drip and like reset your whole body. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to...
You're gonna have to do that thing where they take your blood and they like spin it around or something and they put it back in you. What's that thing?
Like dialysis?
Is that what dialysis is? Well, we're gonna need that.
I'm gonna need dialysis after this. Wait, can we start saying that? I'm gonna need some freaking dialysis.
I'm gonna need dialysis after this reality TV season.
I'm excited.
No, me too. I can't wait.
I'm also very excited to announce that TLC has officially announced season 12 of 90 Day Fiancé. I'm excited, and the timing is amazing. The new season comes out May 10th, I think.
It's like perfect, yeah.
So, yay, season 2 official announcement. I just wanted to say thank you so much to our beloved listeners who have been with us this whole time. Our episodes are like an hour and a half long each, times 18. That is a lot of hours that you've spent with us, and I'm genuinely grateful from the bottom of my heart for all of your support.
Thank you, everyone. I'd also like to do a special shout out to our producer, who is my mom. She has been such a help through this whole thing, and she's just the best. Like, I just want to say thank you so much, Miss Producer, because every week she's the reason why we have social media clips, a podcast title for the episodes, because the way that, like, it's 11 p.m. a Wednesday night and I'm trying to schedule the episode, I'm like, what the fuck am I going to call it? And she's sent us like 10 options. She listens to every episode multiple times through multiple drafts. She's the fuel to the fire of this podcast, and I just appreciate her so much.
I'm also so grateful for her, especially because, like, when we first started this podcast, I didn't have the set of circumstances in my life I currently have of, like, being forced to move out of my apartment into a random little village and, like, constantly doing, like, random labor. So I've just been spread really thin the past couple months, and it's been such... Especially if, like, she's carrying a lot of my load, and I just really appreciate that. So thank you so much, Erica. You're the best.
Oh, we love her.
Also, she promotes our podcast in a way that, like, even I don't feel comfortable doing. Like, she's going out in the world being like, do you guys know my best view? Like, you gotta like, I love
She's
that.
our grassroots organizer. And then also, if you guys throughout the world, because my mom has been on a world tour in her personal life just traveling, if you guys see a sticker promoting My Best View podcast, that's my mom. She put that up.
She is a maniac with the stickers, and I love it so much. So we dedicate this episode to our wonderful producer,
Miss Erica. Everyone, to those who haven't, please follow us on social media at My Best View Pod. We're on primarily TikTok and Instagram, posting funny little clips and screenshots from the episodes that we recap. In addition to that, if you have not yet already, please leave us a 5-star review on the podcast platform you're listening to us on, and make sure you're actually following us so that you get that alert every time we come out with a new episode. We would appreciate that so very much. Thank you. See you next week at the reunion.
Thank you.